for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Happy Friday to everybody. It's going to be a great weekend, which I know we'll talk a lot about the stuff going on into the weekend. We'll get to that. We'll do a vibe check presented by Basis Health. We're getting into the chats. We'll also have Who Our Heavy Hitter Is, presented by HD Roofing and Construction. We'll look at some Final Four specials with BetSaracen and, of course, get to all the discussions with baseball. Well, if it happens, I don't know. We'll see. But, guys, how we feeling? A little rainy, a little stormy, not only here in Northwest Arkansas, but across the state of Arkansas. And just wanted to put out there, if one of us just goes missing here on the stream, odds are the power went out or the internet went out or whatever. So just bear with us. But how are we feeling today?
Yeah, I usually steer clear of that. I've been fortunate from that standpoint of not freezing out or disappearing too much, but it's looking dicey out my window, man. So it might be me today for sure. I'm good. I'm here. I'm bored. I'm ready for some action, but I do exist. So that's all I can ask for right now.
I'm glad you guys said it. I would like literally as we were getting ready to start this, I started just sweating. I was like, I know my internet's going to be shaky as hell today. And so, we're going to bear through it, but still got the takes to get off my chest. There are always takes to get off my chest. And this is the best place to do it.
Yeah, I know. And that's what makes it so fun. And it's going to be pretty easy going here on this Friday because, again, I know everyone's just so interested in the transfer portal and nothing's happened. Once again, we talked about on the show yesterday and the day before, just kind of sitting here like, I guess, a gif of Mr. Bean that's sitting there looking at his watch all the time. It's being, all right, well, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And it's truly what everyone wants to talk about. I mean, I know that we always look at numbers and all that, but like Sam Pitman met with the media yesterday, and I don't even think anyone knew. I don't think anyone cared because everyone's so involved and so all in on the transfer portal and what's coming next and everything. It's just, I don't know. It gives the vibe that there's not going to be any updates now, maybe not even in the weekend, but it is going to happen some point. But I think people are just getting to the point like you, Curtis, bored. It's like, what? All right, so what's going on? Like, what do we do here? What can we actually look forward to? Right now, it's just, you got to remain patient. And that's all you can say is just remain patient.
John Calipari does not care what excites you. Yeah, I mean, it's we're waiting. Something's going to happen at some point. We do know that, but he is definitely operating on his own timeline here. The show title, like, can Calipari's transfer portal strategy really bring home championships? The answer is no right now because there is no strategy. They haven't done anything yet, but it's coming. We know that. We just got to kind of wait our turn. What I will say, though, is I have a hunch, and it's kind of already played out a little bit this morning. There are going to be a ton of commitments, just like transfer portal in general. And guys getting in this thing over the course of this weekend, because Monday is that House versus NCAA, that revenue sharing bill, that vote. And a lot of agents are out there right now and they're encouraging their guys, hit the portal, or if you're in the portal, make a decision and try to get your bag as quick as you can, get as much as that money up front before the wild, wild west kind of becomes semi-regulated, or they at least attempt to do that. So head on the swivel and everything from that standpoint. But yeah, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of smoke leading to fire with the Razorbacks now. And our hope is that John Calipari is just moving in silence, or that his returners will break their silence.
So I want to get the qualifier out before I say what I'm about to say. I want to get the qualifier out that I too am annoyed by how long this is, how quiet this process has been, how little action there has been. But I was actually thinking about this yesterday. Part of me respects how little, like you said, Curtis, John Calipari doesn't care how you feel. Like he's not going to sit here and like try and drum up entertainment for you. And of course, yeah, if he could land top players right now, I'm sure he would sign up to do it. And I'm sure he's making his efforts to do that. But part of me kind of respects that he doesn't care. Whereas like Muss was so big on throwing out the smoke screens and, oh, we're contacting this guy. We're contacting this guy. And you never knew Muss's next move because he was throwing out so much stuff, and he was very aware of the narrative, very aware of what people were saying, and kind of liked the cat and mouse game of leading people astray. I kind of respect that John Calipari's like, I'm going to get my guys. Who knows when I'll get them? You'll find out when I do. We'll leave it at that. Like he's not leaving out breadcrumbs for everyone to pick up. He's just like, listen, I'm going to do what I do. We're going to do what we do. I'm John Calipari. I'm going to have a nasty roster. everyone y'all can just deal with it whenever I tell you it's time to deal with it.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of started thinking about yesterday afternoon. Just, I don't know what Cal's doing right now, and it doesn't matter. But part of me just really hopes that he's not doing anything, because he has it all like settled, and he knows that, you know, next week or, you know, whatever happens, he's gonna be fine. Like, what if he was just kind of chilling, sitting on the couch, walking Palmer around, you know, just chilling, and everybody's just freaking out and you know, wanting to know so much, and he's just hanging out. That's what I hope for, just because it's the cool, calm, collective nature that he is. And I know that they've been having some Zoom calls and whatnot, and I don't know exactly how much, what his involvement is, or how many assistants are involved, or anything like that. But it's just, I'm just glad that it's John Calipari, because if it was some other coach like that Arkansas had hired, that was still an uncertainty, an up and comer that they had a year ago, and see if even this past year went okay, and it was still somebody that you just weren't totally sure about, I think the freaking out and the just alarm that would be going off in people's minds would be exponentially worse right now, even though it is pretty bad in some cases. But this is where it's just nice to have John Calipari, because most people probably realize, okay, yeah, I'd like to have players. I'd like to have players coming back. I'd like to have all these things. But I mean, it's John Calipari. You know, he knows what he's doing. He's fine. It's just nice to have that, to where if this was, I mean, I don't know, if to throw a coach name out there that could have been a 1 year coach and still trying to prove himself, I think people would just be immediately going to, this is a disaster. It's awful. He's cooked. He can't get anybody. It's over with. Cal's not that way, and it's not going to be that way, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, they're working. They're just not pressing about it right now. Like there's no panic, no sense of urgency. And sometimes when you say, you know, people don't have sense of urgency, that's a bad thing. I just don't think it is in this case. They're confident in their plan and what they're going to be able to do. And they've had, and Cal's been involved in a lot of these, you know, several meetings and Zooms and discussions with different guys out there in the portal. But I do get the sense that they have a pretty specific plan of action that involves first figuring out who's coming back, and then kind of attacking from there. I think that there are probably some names who are not in the transfer portal yet that they anticipate being there, that are going to be priority targets for them, which is probably a good explanation for why we're not seeing them get too involved in bidding wars for certain players now. And the only place I would do that right now would be center, you know, because you don't have a 5-man. But they really haven't. I mean, we've heard about an offer that was on the table to Morez Johnson, but they didn't up the bag when they needed to. They didn't try to overpay for Flory Badunga. It sounds like they're not getting in the crazy $3-4 million NIL range with a guy like Yaxel Lindborg. So when you know that you need a starting center in the SEC, and there's only a handful of those guys out there right now, and you're not just going crazy, overspending, doing what you got to do to get them, that tells me that you know something we don't. And so I'm really going to be very anxious over the next several days to see what names become available and who kind of emerges there. But outside of that, they're doing things that are confusing me in terms of prioritizing wings who can't shoot and, stuff like that. That part of it, I don't know.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And like, I do hope we're able to look back and be like, oh man, we were stressing, but clearly they had a plan all along. Yeah. And I definitely don't want us to end up in that situation where we're preaching patience and we're preaching, hey, come on guys, like it's going to be fine. And then we look up in August and we're like, dude, they don't have anybody in the front court. What are we doing here? But I agree with you that like, this is probably one of those things that they know more than we do. They have some type of plan. What that plan is, we don't know, because it's hard to read between the lines. We might not know for a while. But I do also like, I come back to, you remember that offseason when Arkansas missed out on Grant Nelson, and they missed out on Hunter Dickinson, and they missed out on Ron Holland. And then you started also hearing all these rumors of, oh, must JB Hunt. There's a little bit of like, nothing's going on there. When you start combining that, that's when you start really getting panicked. The good thing with this Caliperry situation is we don't have those other factors. We have them missing out on transfers, and we have them maybe not being as connected to some guys as we had hoped. But we're not hearing, oh, well, John Tyson just isn't going to give Cal money. He just doesn't have the resources to do it. John Calipari, the kids these days don't think he's cool. Like, we're not getting that other rumor. Obviously, our imaginations run wild. Anytime something bad happens, we're always like, oh, wait a minute. So this must mean X, Y, and Z. And I think I do come back to we've talked about it 1,000 times every day this week, that you got to know what you have coming back before you can really do anything else. And I think what we've learned throughout this process is in college basketball today, the transfer portal obviously is going to help you win a title. but also you need the freshmen, you need the returning guys, you need the portal guys to supplement that. And I would feel a lot, better about that. Like we always said, if we knew some of those other pieces were there. And I think that's the one piece we can fairly confidently, like we don't have it confirmed yet. We might not ever really get the announcements, but I think we do at least know that Arkansas is going to have some type of retention on this roster, which should help them moving forward. We know they're going to have a good freshman class regardless of what happens with Nate Ament. And now it's just kind of will they get this transfer portal thing worked out? And ultimately, like, is as tough as this week has been and as dry and quiet as this week has been, until Caliperry has a portal cycle where he just whiffs and like doesn't get anything. I mean, like last year, they literally got the two best guys they could have possibly gotten at that point in time. And so we'll see what that plan looks like. Obviously, they have a different assignment, but I think if there's anyone who's earned a little bit of benefit of the doubt, it would be John Calipari in this regard.
Would it not be the most Arkansas thing ever if like Tyson and Cal had a falling out? They like hated each other. Something happened. And then it just like explodes and Cal goes somewhere else. He's like, I'm not dealing with this. That to me would be the ultimate Arkansas thing ever. Just the bestest of friends have a falling out. But I'm agree with you. I don't think that's
a crazy thing to speak into existence, John. That was a crazy thing to speak into existence.
Don't worry. I'll take credit and everyone can tar and feather me when it happens. I'll take it. But that's the thing that like, because it seems so simple, I guess. You've brought it up, Curse, a lot, and I know we have, but when Muss in the portal, there was just 80,000 players he contacted, and you just never really knew the direction it was going. And you didn't know, okay, well, how much NIL do that? Do they have as good of NIL as what they say and all that? But for Cal, it's just such a simple thing to me. He's like, exactly the players they're going after, and you don't have to worry about NIL because it's like, well, they got Tyson. It's not like, oh, man, I hope the Arkansas Edge can come together. Or, man, hopefully this booster and this booster, hey, call Jerry Jones, have him write a check. Like, it's none of that. It's just Cal wants this guy, Tyson gives money. It's truly that feeling that simple. Maybe it's more complicated, but that's at least something that you can count on. And knowing that, hey, if they don't get the players that they need, or if they don't get the players they have, people are just going to point the finger to Tyson. But hey, what in the world, man? Come on. I thought you were going to step up with all that chicken money. Where's all that at? It's like people know exactly where to deflect things. Like, it's not your check's not involved. None of the assistants really have any of the involvement. None of the players really. It's simply Cal and Tyson. Y'all are the two people that are going to make this thing work. And if it doesn't, either both of you to blame, one of the blame, but those are the only two people that are involved with Razorback basketball that anybody's going to look to right now, which makes it so strange that it's not an AD or an assistant or a player or anything. It's literally just the coach and a guy that has chicken. So makes it fun though.
Simplifies things.
It does. Isn't it nice?
Yeah, I mean, the less moving parts you have, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that a lot of schools are in situations where they're still like, man, my God, get us to this revenue sharing thing, because right now we just got to go hold our hand out to our fan base to donate to collectives. That way we can hope that we can entice a kid to come play for us. Does that sound familiar with a different sport? But I'm just saying, like that's not something that Arkansas has to worry about on the basketball front. And for that, I'm appreciative.
Yeah, it's very weird because, like, as a fan of multiple professional sports teams, Curtis, I know you, whenever the Cardinals don't spend money, you get to look at them because you know exactly how much money they're spending. You know what decisions they're making. And obviously there's not a salary cap in the MLB. Not that there's a salary cap here, but we at least kind of know the budget. And so you hear some of these numbers floated around, and you hear what Arkansas's not spending. You hear, okay, this Auburn's paying this guy X amount. Arkansas kind of backed out of that. So that kind of makes you think, all right, well, what are they going to do? If they were in that mix for a guy with, somewhere in that price range, like, where is that money going to go? And I think that's what's so exciting about this, is that we kind of get, on one hand, we get no information on what's going on, who they're talking to, whatever, but we also have more information than ever in terms of what, like, the budget's going to look like for this roster, what numbers some of these guys are getting, and some of that. And so it is going to be very interesting. Like, yeah, in and of itself, hey, Arkansas doesn't want to pay up for a guy like Flory, or hey, they don't want to pay up for a guy like Keyshawn Hall. It's like, well, you're going to have to pay up for somebody. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how they allocate those resources for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And I know we'll get to your chats here in a second, folks, but I did want to say that somebody brought up what the Arkansas Edge the other day to me on Twitter, and I said I would address, and I haven't. But so I'll go ahead and say that now, because I know we're talking about NIL and everything. I'm just going to be honest. I feel like that the Blueprint Sports deal that they have is coming to an end. And once that happens, You're not going to have, at least in the same capacity and ran by the Arkansas Edge, Blueprint Sports, all of that thing. That's just my feeling on that. And, with this revenue sharing and all that stuff, it's really going to change some landscapes, and we'll see how they adjust and move on. But, I've always talked about, why aren't they promoting the Arkansas Edge? Why is that never being promoted if they need it? Well, I think they kind of just said, we don't want to promote it because we don't even want it, and we're going to be moving on from it. So, but I did see, in fact, we'll go ahead and do this. Let's get into the chat presented by Basis Health, little vibe check, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits at the comfort of your very own home. People say that, this is just a lazy generation. You just want everything delivered to you. Yeah, but maybe in some cases, but when it comes to your medical needs, I don't think anybody wants to go to a doctor's office. I don't think anybody wants to go in there and wait. Well, you don't have to worry about that with Basis Health. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. They are here for you when and where you need them the most. It's Basis Health. You can learn more at basishealth.org today. Appreciate Dre being a part of it. One of our favorite chatters here on the show. But I did want to bring this up, like what Jacoda was saying. He's like, can you guys touch on the April 7th hearing? Maybe some quick high-level overview of it. I know, and maybe Curse, more, or Andrew more, but from the article that I read from Ross Dellinger, I feel like Ross Dellinger is just the guy when it comes to this stuff. Like, he's just a dude. But when I read what he was putting together, I guess kind of the thing is, a hearing is scheduled in California where a judge could, though unlikely on Monday, approve the NCAA's landmark settlement of 3 antitrust lawsuits, which is legal challenges over athlete compensation, which would usher in a cap-based revenue share concept in the new enforcement arm to police booster-backed compensation contracts. A lot of words, but is that pretty much the gist of it, from my understanding?
First of all, I don't know if any of us are equipped to provide a high-level overview of it, but we'll do our best. But it just comes down to, this is their opportunity to approve that revenue sharing model, and it would be capped, and it would be, was it 20.5 or 21.5? I can't remember which, in that revenue sharing that would go to players, right? And it wouldn't even necessarily be NIL so much as that's just a sharing of the revenue that you're bringing in. And you would percentage that out. It wouldn't all go to football. It wouldn't all go to basketball. You got to percentage that out. And as I understand it, the universities would have the ability to divvy that out however they wanted to. If they wanted to give 70% to football and 15% to men's basketball and divvy up the rest to everybody, like whatever, you can do that however you want. And so that's all great. That's fine. That's dandy. But I think the snag of it, or the thing that you got to be on the lookout for as it pertains to like Arkansas, for example, with their connections with John Tyson, is that another part of the movement is putting into place this clearinghouse, which would basically, at that point, you could have NIL deals outside of the revenue sharing stuff, but there's going to be a committee that you have to submit every one of those deals that's over $600 to, and they basically tell you if this is fair or not. Like, these people are going to decide the market value of an individual athlete, the deal, or, with the company or whoever that they're trying to work with. And they'll say, you're trying to do what? No, it's only worth this. And so what they're effectively going to try to do is, with these NIL deals, instead of it being John Tyson saying, oh, you need 2.5 for Nate Ament or whatever, here you go. They're going to decide whether or not that's fair market value or not. And that's where I think this is going to get really dicey, and where I think it's going to get hung up, because if you really think that after just instituting the NIL as a thing, and these guys are just getting bukus of money, that you're just going to be able to step in right away and put a cap on the potential earnings of student athletes, you are insane. There are lawyers across the country lining up, waiting to take those cases. That's where I think this is going to get hung up, but that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And, when we first entered the NIL era, there were no rules. It was just basically overnight, hey, here we are. And I feel like as we go along, we're starting to get, more rules. We're starting to get more of an understanding of how things should work. Because, again, this all started with the premise that, athletes were going to be able to just make money off of their name, and they're going to be able to sell their jersey. And it kind of started like that. But of course, as humans, we always manipulate everything. So it's kind of, in one way, good to see more and more legislation, more and more official rules for everybody to operate with. But I agree with you, Curtis, that like, people are just not going to fly with you limiting what a player can do. I mean, the agents, the players themselves, just even the coaches who are trying to land, the coaches who have the money and are like, hey, we want to spend $10 million on this guy. They're not going to stand for that. And so it's going to be interesting. And as always, it's going to come down to which schools, which programs, which coaches best know how to navigate this. Because again, you can change the rules, you can do whatever. The good ones are always going to find a way around. They're going to find their loophole. They're going to find out how to maximize this the best for their team. And so that's one thing that with John Calipari, I feel like we never really have to worry too much about. He's going to find a way to compensate players, but it is going to look very different. And I feel like each year in every sport, it's going to look kind of different. And it's going to be a race to see who can adapt the best, who can just figure out what our surroundings are, figure out what the rules we're playing with, and win that way. And so it's kind of like, I feel like we're taking steps in the right direction, but it's always going to be a process. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out for sure.
Yeah. And I also think that, with what people have brought up with NIL and how much they may hate it or hate the way college sports have become, I get it. There's a lot of things I don't like about it either, but let's just remember, this is all the NCAA's fault. If the NCAA just would have worked towards something like this for years, like they should have seen that it was coming, because everybody who has a brain in their body knew that this was going to happen at some point in time, and they would have worked towards that. It could have been a lot better, maybe a little easier transition or whatever. But like you said, Andrew, it's kind of just like one day, all right, make money, boom, just do whatever you want. And it became this nonsensical thing. But I also, this is where I get why they're doing it this way, and I get why they're trying to make this ruling and everything. But to your point too, Curtis, I just laugh because I'm like, what do you think that if this rule's made and it's like, all right, the cap is at $20 million per school, and say if Arkansas is going to spend a lot of it in football and all that, do you think that Cal's just going to go to Tyson and be like, hey, Johnny, hey man, appreciate it, but we're not going to need your money anymore. We're capped. And Tyson going to be like, oh yeah, sure, I understand, Cal. Well, I'll find some other way to do it. No. Like if anybody thinks that the boosters that are just going to be like, 20 million, yeah, we're not going to give any more than that. It's still going to have all these impacts. You're still going to have these schools doing things. It's just a matter of if there are consequences, how it's regulated, how it's policed. It's all going to come into hand. But that's what I laugh about, is people that just think, and hopefully nobody at the University of Arkansas thinks this, of just like, well, once this ruling is done, then, hey, everything's good to go. And that sudden, I know 100% everybody's going to be on the same level playing field in NIL. Ain't going to happen.
Well, John, that's exactly how Sam Pitman feels about it.
Based
on everything I've heard that man say. But you're 100% right. And a couple things I wanted to add to that. Actually, the main thing I wanted to add is just a little bit of clarity, because I see this from Silent Smurf. He says it'll be a cap on schools, not players. Here's the distinction that I'm making, though. There is going to be a cap on the university revenue sharing. It's up to the 20.5 million or whatever. That's going to be monitored. Yes, there will be penalties if a university goes over that with what they're distributing, whatever. They're attempting to cap or put some regulation on those outside NIL deals. Like if so-and-so is doing a commercial for a car dealership or whatever, or if John, they're trying to get rid of the boosters, the John Tysons of the world, saying, yeah, we'll just fork this over by instituting this clearinghouse where all those deals have to go through. They decide the market value. They do the deal. So you're right. There is a cap on the university revenue sharing system there, but they're trying to regulate all the outside stuff as well. And that's where I think they're going to run into problems.
Yeah. There's not going to be any problems. It'll be smooth sailing. Come on now. It'll be perfectly fine. But yeah, we'll continue to get to your chats, folks. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat, Chris. He says, what are we going to do if we retain all 6 of our players and get Nate Amon along with the other 4 signees? We can have 15 on the roster, right?
Well, you would have 11 and then you'd add 4 more. You know what I'm saying? But no, they're not going to retain all 6 of those guys. I mean, it'd be pretty sweet if they did it. That's not going to happen. I think you're probably looking at 3 to 4. But at any rate, they're still going to have money. You know what I mean? Let's say they retain all 6 of those guys and they get Nate and they got the freshman coming in. They still don't have any big men. And they're just not going to go into the season without a center. I mean, they're going to go out there and get their guys. Part of me would say I don't think they're going to go to 15. Here's what I'll say, though. I don't think they're going to go to 15 able-bodied ready expected contributors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But will they have 15 if you count and no disrespect at all, but like the Aiden Kellys and the Jaden Carlett was and everything at the very end there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because they're trying to extend that rotation of playable guys that they can trust out a little bit there. But I get what you're saying, because it's going to cost money, more money than it costs to have them this year to get those returners back for sure. I'm sure that Acuff and Thomas, like those guys aren't coming for free. And we know for darn well sure that Nate Ament wouldn't be coming for free. So that's a large chunk of change, but Arkansas is good for it. Like they have it. That's not an issue. I wouldn't sweat it.
It's certainly not going to be a thing where they get all those guys on board and then they have to figure out how to pay them. Like they're going to figure that out before they have those guys on board. Like you mentioned, like he mentioned the 6 players returning and Nate Ament. Like I feel like you are going to have those conversations beforehand. So I don't think there would be any like questions or hesitancy or like, hey, how are we going to manage this? I think by the time the roster is set, they will have already figured out a very clear idea of how they want to attack this, how they want to allocate resources. Like it wouldn't be a thing where they get all these guys on campus and then they're like, all right, now how do we compensate them? They would have that figured out beforehand.
For sure. And if the question was more about like, what would we do in terms of how would that work with roster construction and everything, that's an entirely different question. But what I will say is I've seen a lot of John Calipari rosters where I've gone, how exactly are they going to do this? And it winds up working out and they wind up being really good. We could even use, and this is probably one of the poorest examples, honestly, but just a couple years ago at Kentucky, when everybody was so pissed off that he was starting DJ Wagner over Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham, but you had those 3 guys and you had Antonio Reeves in that backcourt, and they all played over 20 minutes per game. They all got their shots up. It worked. Yeah. They were a 3 seed. I get it. They lost it early in March, but it was a really good team. He was able to figure it out. He's kind of been a master of bringing in guys with high expectations, with big bags and everything else, and getting them to kind of separate their egos and come together eventually. It might take longer than you want it to during the season, but if there's one guy that can just get a collection of talent that doesn't necessarily make sense in terms of roster construction and get it to work, it's historically been John Calipari. So,
well, what would you said that team that you just mentioned, they were a 3 seed, you said, in the tournament, NCAA tournament?
Yeah, 3 or 4, I can't remember.
Okay. I couldn't remember if that was the year they lost to St. Peter's or not.
It had to have been a 3. No, it was the Oakland year.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think they were 3 seed,
right?
When they lost to St. Peter's, yeah, they were a 2 seed.
Were they a 3 with Oakland or 2?
Yeah, it was 3 because I remember
they were a high seed and they lost to a really bad one.
They were nasty in SEC play.
Yeah.
They hit a switch in like January, like you were talking about. They were weird early, and we were like, "Oh, what's going on?" Then they just started rattling off like 112 points a game. They were killing. That team was actually good.
Well, which is just why I laugh about the whole thing with Cal in that year. It's like, yeah, obviously, losing in the first round is not what you want to do, and it's not good, but imagine saying they're like, yeah, that didn't work out when you literally were a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. Like, it didn't work. Right. It didn't work. It's like, well, it worked well enough for you to be like one of the top 12 teams in the country. So, yeah, I think you can say it worked okay. Appreciate this from also Chris Super Chase says, do the guys that have been on the bench all year count?
I wonder what he means by count. Like, because I obviously made this at some point during the conversation. Like, does he mean like toward like the revenue sharing, like toward like just like what is this referencing? I guess
I'm not sure.
Like, are they getting paid?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he'll follow up with it. But also shout out to Toothless Devo for the super chat. Appreciate the coverage, Kings. You're welcome, Toothless Devo.
I didn't know Toothless Devo dabbled in our streams. I thought he was just a Discord guy.
Yeah,
didn't have anything to do at noon today, so
yeah, he's like I'm bored today. Lunch, might as well hop on.
Yeah. I'm afraid of anybody that ends up being just a Discord guy, considering the stuff I've seen in there.
It gets wild after dark, man.
I regret having Logan invite me to it because now I'm just scared all the time. Anytime I get a notification of like I got tagged in something, I just immediately want to die. Let's see. Hunter Ratio says, why aren't we using all this NIL money that we have? Is it because Cal doesn't want guys who are all about money? I know more guys will become available, but at least one pickup would be nice.
Well, he does. He doesn't want guys that are all about money, but he's also not an idiot. I mean, he understands that that's part of the game. That's how it works now. But who's to say that they're not spending the money that they have. Again, none of the guys who are on your roster this year were playing for free, who you're trying to get back, and you're going to have to pay them more. So like that money is going to be allocated, and they haven't spent any dollars in the transfer portal yet. But do you think they're just done? Honest question. Like, do you think they're just like, man, it's been 10 days in this portal, and this just ain't for us, man. These kids are crazy. We're just going to run it back with whoever the hell will come here for free. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on now, have a little bit of patience.
I definitely don't think there's a route to where like they finish up this offseason and he like sends $6 million back to Tyson. He's like, hey, we couldn't spend it all. You know, you keep the change. We're good, man. We're good. We don't need, we're fine here. And that's kind of the point I was making earlier, is like, we kind of know around the budget, like, you know, it's going to be about a $12 million roster. And to your point, Curtis, Carter Knox ain't going to be free. If a Dude Zero comes back, he ain't going to be free. If Trevin Brazil comes back. And so we can kind of all do our guessing work of how much each guy is making, but they're definitely not going to like just finish this offseason and pocket a bunch of money. You know, that's not going to happen.
Right. I'll give a quick example. And people, I always roll my eyes when I hear so-and-so is getting paid this much or getting paid that much, or they offered this much. Y'all don't know. Y'all do not know. Stop that. But there are a reason like some of those things are said. And it was the number that kept getting thrown out there for a Dude Zero was $800K last year. And it was, you know, cause like North Carolina was on him. And I think was it Pitt or whoever, like the hometown school and Arkansas. And it was like, oh, $800K. Well, let's say that was true. Okay. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that I do. But then all I've been hearing this week is that, and we know that they're putting together an NIL package to try to keep him, to try to bring him back for another year. And the number that continues to get thrown out there is 2 million. So that's more than double, almost 3 times what he was allegedly making this year. Yeah, it's going to cost him. And it's also the cost of doing business and the price of inflation, and, you know, like everything else. Like the market is what it is, whether it's, you know, cars or homes or freaking transfers for college basketball.
And one thing I'd point out, some of the numbers we've heard, and who knows how accurate they are, but I mean, you hear numbers for guys like Flory and guys like Keyshawn Hall or whatever, in that 2 million number, it's like not terribly dissimilar. Like 2 million for a Dude Zero is actually maybe a bargain. You know what I mean? Like
I kind of like it.
That's a team friendly deal, I would argue.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I always bring this up, and it's probably, you know, people get sick of hearing it, but it's going to be this. If Arkansas has all this money, say if they spent $20 million on a roster, if Arkansas won the national championship next year, how many of you Razorback fans are going to be like, yeah, that was great and all, but that Dude Zero is making way too much money. You're not going to care because it's not your money. Your taxes aren't going to go up. You know, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Do they win or not? If they win, great. If they don't, sucks. But anybody that just comes out and be like, there's just too much money around here. Okay. What if you found out that 1994 national championship, which happened 31 years ago, by the way, today, what if that national championship team, you found out that, you know, Arkansas paid them, you know, $1 million total as a team? Are you going to be like, oh gosh, I'm going to return all my shirts? I'm not going to, just stop.
I'd want them to throw Nolan Richardson in jail right now.
Yeah. Just for forever. Like, that's, and people who just bring that stuff up, it's like, who cares how much they make? Do they win? That's the only question you need to be asking yourselves. Also, too, I guess Esker, is it just rumors that any of the guys are returning?
Yes, basically, because none of them have officially announced that they are. You know what I mean? We have our hunches, and we can talk to people in their camp or people in the building at Arkansas who are like, oh yeah, I think they're coming back, but you really don't know a darn thing until A, they announce it, and even after that, B, until the portal is closed. So, you know, yeah, it's rumor right now. The only thing that's not a rumor is Big Z is in the portal. So we're definitely not operating on absolutes. We just have educated guesses and strong assumptions that they'll get a number of those guys back.
Yeah. And I just also like feel that, I'm hoping at least, that maybe if you're talking about priorities, you want all these players, but hopefully the priority for Cal and the staff is the players they want to keep that's currently on the roster. That's their priority, is making sure that they keep those guys, keeping the Carter Knoxes, the Trevin Brazils, the DJ Wagners, and all of them, assuming that those are the ones they want, doing whatever they can to keep those guys on the roster.
You threw DJ Wagner's name in the list of keeping guys they want, and the chat's just going to go nuts on you.
Well, poor
kid.
By the way, if you don't spend money to keep them, you got to spend money to replace them. Like, for instance, the number, like I see some people in the chat are saying that because Trilly, I think, said Yaxel 3 to 4 million. Curtis, you remember 2 days ago, we were sitting right here and we were talking about how, like, who would be the number one player in the portal if a Duthero entered, him or Yaxel, similar kind of guys. And so we're talking about 2 million for a Duthero, or you can let him walk and say, hey, that guy can't shoot, screw him. Okay, well, now you got to spend 4 million to replace him. Same with DJ Wagner. Say, a million's too much or whatever. All right, well, if Flory was going to cost you 2 million, what do you think an actual starting point guard is going to cost you? More than 2 million, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I agree. Like, not only does the retention help you, because we see teams in March that bring back their rosters and they look great. I'd love to be one of those teams with some other talented pieces around them, but it also might make financial sense to keep some of these dudes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, if the chat gets mad at me, that's fine with me, because honestly, I could use a mix-up other than just, talking about my physical appearance most often. At least they can have a take of mine that they can come after, instead of just being like, you look like a pimple on a rear end. Like, yeah, thank you.
I've been on a run here where anytime I've mentioned DJ Wagner coming back or Nate Ament committing, to Arkansas potentially, it's just like, you would just think they weren't very good at basketball the way some people talk about them, which is wild.
They're trash.
Hey, to each their own. To each their own.
I mean, you don't want them. They don't want to be hogs. They just want the bag. Yeah, I mean, all that stupid stuff. Trey also said LSU forward Damian Collins has entered into the portal.
I'm in.
This is an intriguing name. So for those that don't know, Damian Collins started his career at Kentucky with Cal, busted Arkansas's ass in Baton Rouge this year because he transferred to LSU. I was never like that high on Damian Collins. I think he might have been a burger boy. If he wasn't a burger boy, he was definitely like a high recruit, and he like barely played for Cal at Kentucky. Really needed to go and develop. Is he a game changer? Probably not. He's just he's the way I would describe some of these big men. He's just big. He's like 6'9", 6'10", springy as hell.
Athletic as
averages I think he averaged like 8 and 4 at LSU last year. But what he would be is a guy that could start at the 5 legitimately for you. And I think he would at the very least be a good big off the bench. But like, that's the kind of guy that, like, I've been saying everybody wants the dominant big man who you run offense through. I don't want to run offense through my 5. I've got guys I can run offense through. I want a guy who's just going to run, jump, block shots, rebound. That's what Damian Collins can do. He also fits the criteria of the guy we were talking about a few days ago of like, hey, why doesn't Cal just go tamper with some guys that are not in the portal? Well, he just entered the portal 20 minutes ago. I think this guy actually might check a lot of those boxes of a guy they could bring in, a guy that they might have been talking to, because obviously there's a relationship there. I don't know how Damian Collins feels about Cal, the Texarkana kid, but
Damian Collins he doesn't have any issue with Cal. He left, he had family issues, and so he's trying to get back home, and that was a big part of the reason why he left and wound up where he did. I remember that at the time, because when he hit the portal, I was hitting up the previous regime saying, yo, go get that guy, former 5-star, crazy athlete and everything. They're like, nah, he's definitely going closer back to home. And Arkansas would still be relatively close to home there, right?
He's in Texarkana, right?
Yeah, and I think he was family was in Texas, but it turned out Baton Rouge was closer to where he is actually from than I think TCU or something was maybe the other school. I'd have to go back and look through some old texts, but no, that would be interesting. And for me, I hope that Arkansas goes out and they find the dude at center. Like, if you were going to really spend mega bucks in the portal, that you go out and find that guy there. If they do that, that's awesome. But at the bare minimum for me, I would like to see at least one big, strong, physical, mean, tough, push you around enforcer type. And then to complement that, like the super long, athletic, plays above the rim, lob threat, block shots, and Damian Collins would check the ladder of those boxes. That's what they want to do. I'd be all right with it. I think they need 3 guys, at least 2 centers for sure. And then if you have a swing guy that can do the 4 and the 5, which he could do, fine.
I wonder what the price tag is on Collins. Like, I can't imagine it's like a crazy bag, but at the same time, we've seen guys that are averaging 6 and 5 making $2 million. So who knows? But I think if he were like a big off the bench for Arkansas, he would be overqualified for that role, and I think he would be very good in that role.
Well, and also too, I thought, how funny would it be if Arkansas just did that, where they added the players that just destroyed them and during the regular season of the previous year. Just be like, hey, you killed us, so we'll just add you to our roster the next season.
Nick
Just
Pringle, come on down.
Yeah, just get all those players, man, and have them get added in there. All right. Also, Chris did reiterate his point. He says, I meant towards the 15-player roster, but I think Curtis answered it already. So, yeah. Say Cade says, appreciate Super Chat, says, instead of building through the portal, Ohio State spent $20 million on retaining players that would have left for the NFL. Look how that turned out. Which
fair. I think we're on the same page there. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, again, why the priority needs to be retaining players that you really want.
Yeah. I will go back to that previous comment real quick. And just my understanding is that the goal is to have 11, like playable rotation type dudes. So kind of extending what you had this year by 2. And then, potentially having the Rattel kid, if he doesn't redshirt, or even Sealy being like the 12th man. So chances are they're going to be quite a bit deeper this coming season. And then to your point, yes, those other guys would count towards scholarships. Because Cal calls them walk-ons. Like he called Carletwa and Melo Sanchez. He called those guys walk-ons. All of them were on full scholarship, and that limit goes up to 15 from 13 this year. They just weren't getting the Dino Nugget money. So,
also, Josh just said, who do we like in the Final Four?
Man, I've been thinking hard about this because I need to place my bets tonight. But, guys, I just don't know.
I don't either.
I really don't know. Here's what I want. I want Houston, because screw those 2 SEC teams, and I darn sure don't want it to be Duke. Yeah. I don't have any problems with Kelvin Sampson. Like, they don't have all the superstars and stuff, so cool. But I also think they have the smallest chance to actually get it done. So I don't know, man.
Kelvin Sampson winning a title would be cool. One, because it's like something that like 12 years ago, if I'd said, hey, Kelvin Sampson's going to win the basketball title at Houston, you'd have been like, what? Kind of wouldn't have sounded like a real thing. So it's kind of a cool story. And dude, that program, you want to talk about not building overnight. Like, they've been pushing away for a decade now, just getting better and better. They're tough as hell. They're physical. They also are like the antithesis of the world we live in. Like, they're not this roster that is thrown together through. I mean, I'm sure they're paying, plenty of their guys, but it's not like this lineup full of blue chip dudes that are, these huge big name guys. Like, they're just tough. And so that would be cool. I wouldn't be upset I'd be upset because Auburn fans, we'd have to hear from it. But like Auburn winning, I still think that would be kind of funny just because of how they were the unanimous favorite like the entire year. And then they played bad basketball for like 10 days there. And everyone was just like, they suck. They're out of here. I feel like they're the most underrated number 1 overall seed ever. And I know everyone's going to hate this. It's not going to hurt my feelings like at all if Duke wins the national title. Duke, I understand why everybody hates them. But I grew up thinking JJ Redick was cool while everybody was telling him he sucked. I kind of like the villains. I kind of like the bad guys. And it really wouldn't bother me that much if Duke won. More so than it would the Golden Gooner winning.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, I don't want to see an SEC team win, but if it was, I guess it'd be Florida. But yeah, I want Houston to win at all costs. It's not that I'm going to freak out and lose my mind if someone else does, but Houston is just the one I'm rooting for, not necessarily the rooting against the others, if that makes sense. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into who our heavy hitters are, and it's presented by HD Roofing and Construction. Storms can hit unexpectedly, and we got storms out right now and going to be happening through the weekend, and there's going to be a lot going on, and hopefully everyone stays safe. But if there is any damage done, whether it's to homes or to roofs or anything like that, HD Roofing has you covered because they're going to give you a peace of mind with the free inspection. When you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on the professionalism as well as top quality materials and expert installation for all of your roofing needs. You can check them out today at hdarkansas.com, or you can also check them out at their website or at their phone number at 501-428-0429. All right, so getting into the heavy hitter side of things. By the way, I just saw this. I don't know if you guys did. It's random, but I guess the Taylor Bull Bowen has committed to Alabama transfer. So, or just a little update there from Florida State, whatever. But I tell you what, my heavy hitter, though, what I'm going to throw out there is the fact that you always see these timelines or these time hops of things that you look back upon, and I'll use that for one of them. But how about Moses Moody dunking on Austin Reeves? I wish I could play the video, but a little Arkansas and Arkansas crime. And I'm just glad it was the Razorback that did it, not the other way around. So, Moses Moody doing a little posterization on Austin Reeves last night was really cool. And Moses is just one of those guys that deserves a lot of credit. Dude has never done. He was a great student. He was a great athlete. He was a great ambassador for Arkansas. He went to Arkansas. He's from Arkansas. He continues to rep Arkansas, and he's just finding ways to get out there and still play in the NBA. And, going to the Golden State Warriors, I remember thinking, oh, geez, how's he going to find any playing time on that? He's just chipped away, man, and still finding ways. So shout out to Moses Moody and what he's been able to do so far this year, but also posterizing Austin Reeves last night.
Weirdly enough, so I bet on that game. So I was tapped in. I watched the entire second half. Luka Doncic is going to wake up having nightmares about Moses Moody. He was really bothered by that link out there. Luka, not a great night at the office for Luka. Shout out LeBron and Steph, who turned back the clock and went tit for tat in the fourth quarter. That's pretty cool. I think they both finished 35 or something like that. Steph hit some just some Steph-like threes. Really fun NBA game. Cool to see some dudes from Arkansas just right in the middle of the action. Austin Reeves, that dude's nasty.
Definitely is. All right, so Curtis, do you have a heavy hitter?
It was going to be the dunk in that basketball game last night because it was awesome. So I'm just going to sit here with my mouth shut.
I'm kind of there as well. I would love to have a baseball doubleheader or a baseball hitter, heavy hitter. I'm sick of everybody pissing and moaning about the weather. Obviously, the weather sucks, but I've seen people being like, "Hey, just cancel the series. Just don't play any of the games this weekend. Let's relax. They're gonna play some baseball this weekend. We're gonna have some fun. Hell, they might play baseball tonight."
Yeah, which would be crazy considering the weather. But as we've talked about, Dave Van Horn is a weather guy. He's able to forecast it and be able to check it all out. So yeah, I trust Dave Van Horn to get that done. But I guess another heavy hitter I have is how about a shout out to the fact that 31 years ago the national championship was won by Arkansas, and I just went back and watched some highlights of that. And the reason I say a heavy hitter is because that was a heavy hitter game. You think back, college basketball may have been in its prime in the early 90s, mid 90s. If you think about the storylines, you had the UNLV team, you had the Fab Five, you had the Duke Blue Devils with Christian Laettner, and people who say that's one of the greatest college basketball games of all time was Duke and Kentucky and Laettner and everything. So you had the Razorbacks right there in the mix of it. 1994 at its peak, and they ran through it. They went up against Duke. Wasn't like they went up against some random team. It was the Duke Blue Devils, who had been to 3 of the last 4 Final Fours, and they took care of business. And when all bets were against him, all the disrespect going against him. But shout out to Nolan Richardson, out to the Razorbacks being a heavy hitter, because those are the types of moments in games you expect the Razorbacks to lose because they have so often in those positions. But Scotty Thurman's shot went in, and that was all she wrote. And so shout out to them for winning the national championship back then.
Obviously, anytime you win a national title, it's going to be, a very big moment for your program. One that everyone remembers. Is that game the single most influential, consequential game in Razorback sports history? I feel like it really made the program what it is, put Arkansas on the map from a basketball standpoint. And it's just it's lived on more than any champion. Obviously the 64 championship, I'm sure, our great grandparents could tell us about how cool it was. But I mean, has anyone in pop culture in the world referenced that game since? But I feel like that 94 title game, national reporters, people that follow college basketball all the time. How many different states have we gone to, and people have been like our Uber driver in Providence that's oh man, Nolan Richardson, love that guy. Now I love those teams, those mid 90s Razorback teams. I feel like they're gonna live forever. They really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think of anyone that's more consequential for that, because you won a championship in relatively recent history in the second most popular college sport, and you did it during a time when that sport was at its peak and really had you had guys staying around. I saw somebody mention Shaq. That's another one. Shaq was at LSU for 3 years. Just that stuff doesn't happen anymore, not to that level. So, but yeah, I don't think it's been that way. I think between that and Darren McFadden are the two things that national people may mention about Arkansas. And yeah, also Arkansas, fun fact, was one of the first teams to wear those quote baggy shorts in basketball. So they were considered pioneers doing it for what that's worth. So.
Would it be poor taste to name John Morant my heavy hitter? Or
No, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't at all.
You just can't figure it out, man. You just cannot figure it out. Unreal.
Dude, who was he referencing? So he hit a game winner last night. For those that don't know the context, he's been doing the gun celebration, and apparently they're like maybe going to suspend him for it. They literally put out a tweet yesterday, and they were like, NBA is investigating John Morant's gun celebration. That night, he hits a game winner, and he's like, bop, 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 bop. I can't remember who it was that was guarding him. It was like a big guy. I can't remember. It was like a mismatch. He had like a longer guy, and the Taylor Rooks asked him after the game. He was like, I had a puppy guard me or something like that. I can't remember the term he used, but he was like, I had something guarding me, and so I just had to attack him. I really need to look up who he was talking about because it was so funny.
Yeah,
that dude. Oh man. Or then maybe his pops. Who was his pops is at the game with some
T Morant.
Yeah. Who was he with?
I saw someone else in the crowd.
Danger or something.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. The pictures were going around. It was like,
yeah, no, that's great. Dude, you know who it was he was talking about? Khalil Ware. That's who he was. That's who was guarding him. Who, by the way, Khalil Ware, I got to give him his props. Turned out to be a way better. Not that I didn't think he was good, but like I remember not being that bummed out that Arkansas didn't get him. And he took a while to kind of come into his own. That dude's a monster. Like he's going to be in the league for a while. But I guess John Morant was switched on to him, and he was talking to Taylor Rooks like, "Oh yeah, had a little puppy guarding me, so I had to go at him." And I was like, "Man, that's big time."
Oh yeah, that is rough. Okay, so yeah, that we'll get to a few more of your chats, folks, here on the show. There was one that I was brought this up from Ryan earlier in the show. He says, I've been watching Pod at the Palace Morning Show. I feel sorry for him, Curtis. He has to deal with fans freaking out about the roster. I hope the domino falls soon to get him off the edge.
Hey, listen, I am used to that over the last 5 years of covering this portal thing. I need something to happen because I'm running out of things to say on that show every morning. Like I really, really need something portal related or retention related to happen today. Because I promised everybody every day when I start the show, I'm like, we're not just going to run this on repeat. We're going to do something different every day. But I also can't deviate from the portal and the roster building because nobody's going to listen. Nobody cares right now about anything else. Something has to happen today, whether it's somebody coming back or hitting the portal or they get somebody or they schedule a visit or some big names. Like something has to happen. Or I have literally no clue what I'm going to say going into that show tomorrow. I'm low-key stressed about it. I really am. I'm like, damn, man, you got to give me something here. This is crazy.
We're definitely getting a Friday 4:30, 5 p.m. news dump.
I hope so.
Type of thing. So, like, I think that's going to be what's going to happen for you, Curtis, is you're going to have to record the episode at like 9:30 p.m.
That's what I've been doing here lately. Like at like 11 o'clock, at night, just because I would during the season, you kind of get into a routine, the schedule. I would record tomorrow's episode before we even started this show today. It's like done. Nah, ain't no way you can do that during portal season, man. So I'm just kind of waiting around, but hopefully something happens. Crazy.
Yeah, let's hope so.
20-minute Damian Collins breakdown.
Yeah, give the people what they want. I tell you what, we'll continue on and we'll get into some specials and everything presented by our friends over at BetSaracen. It's the #1 sports betting app here in the state of Arkansas. Go to BetSaracen.com. You can see all the specials they got for Final Four games this weekend. Also, Razorback baseball. We'll talk about that. Don't worry. And some other things too when it comes to parlays, specials, the 3-point parlays that they have going on. It's all happening at the BetSaracen app. So download it on your iPhone or on your Android. You can also check them out online at BetSaracen.com and get to betting that way. So I did want to use this and talk about it. I know we've mentioned basketball, transfer portal. We've talked NIL. But Sam Pitman did meet with the media yesterday. And I want to bring up this clip. He did. I know it's crazy. Stop traffic. But there was actually that going on. Only they had people there covering it and, letting people do it. It'd be more popular. But either way, he met with the media and nothing really extravagant came out from it as far as players and all that. But he did talk about the new GM, Remy Cofield, which I think there's a lot of fascination behind that because we haven't heard from the guy. We just know he's there, but we don't really know what he is or who he is or what he's going to be doing specifically. So Sam Pitman was asked about that. and we'll play that video here and kind of have some reactions. It was a little bit of a long clip, but we can kind of dive into it in other ways. But let's go ahead and hear. Well, that's not what I wanted to do.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
man,
looking
I was trying
good.
to do this. There we go. Good grief. It's like, wait a minute, no one wants to see that. Okay, so here's Sam Pitman. Shout out to Daniel Shee for asking the question about Remy Cofield and Sam Pittman's response.
One more on Cofield. I guess you talked a lot about how he can help bringing in new players and helping you navigate the portal. I'm just wondering how you envision his relationship with retention and, helping with players that are already here.
I think it has a lot to do. Guys, a lot of times if you're married, you need a little buffer. You go talk to your son and say, hey, go to mom and see what this idea would be. I think you need a buffer. And to me, he's that guy, because since we've been here, I kind of been the good guy and the bad guy. Good if you come in and you want X amount of money, and all that, and we feel like that's the worth and all that. That's going to be, they're going to go to him. And so I think that buffering system is going to help me tremendously. And then it's personal, guys are going to leave. You understand why, but then it becomes personal. We need to take that part out of the game. To me, I'm all for these guys making money, all for it. But there are some that leave that it hurts you, So I think having him, I think that will help us, and he can be a buffering. And if you go in and you tell him you want $400,000, and I was planning on giving you $4. Then there's a buffer in there where we can kind of figure out between the two of us, along with the coaches, what kind of money that we have in the budget.
I guess, has that been emotionally draining for you, that, you have to, on the field, kind of try and extract the most out of them, and then have to, have those bad guy conversations with them, off the field?
Yeah, I never really, to be honest with you, I've never really thought, until I see it. I never really thought, well, he's going to go in the portal, on the field, coaching them and all that, until he doesn't quit, but he kind of quits, you know what I mean? You can tell. We're going to coach them. You guys, I hope, haven't seen any difference in coaching than what we had before, and our job is to get them the best they possibly can be for them, and then that'll make the team better. But when money comes into probably any situation, it's hard for greed and jealousy and all that not to come in. So balancing that, I think that will help us a little bit, having Remy help us balance some of that as well.
Okay.
People think he was talking about Remy Cofield. He's actually talking about Remy the rat from Ratatouille.
Yeah, I guess that part of his question, Daniel Shee's question, got edited out, I guess. But yeah, so here's the deal: is like, I know people have such a nasty feel toward and toxic feel towards football and everything, but essentially what it just sounds like from that is that Remy Cofield is just going to be the guy that's the buffer that can be the bad guy, and telling players, "Hey, you ain't making that money. We're not going to give you that money," and then that way it's not on the coach, it's not on Pitman. It's just more about like, hey, you deal with it, which it's not anything crazy. And oh my gosh, we never knew this. But just now kind of hearing it from Sam Pitman and him approaching it that way, maybe I'm looking at it in a different regard, but I just feel like he's kind of like, I am done with this. You can have all of it. Like, I'm just so relieved to get this off my shoulders. You deal with all of this. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to ever talk about it. I don't even want to think about money. You do this. That's the vibe that I got from him.
We're gonna have to change bumper watch to buffer watch. That's gonna be our new hashtag. Anytime we see Remy surface, Sam's just he's gonna have that button. And anytime somebody walks in there to talk to him about NIL, he's just gonna be like, "Hey, if it's hashtag buffer watch, get down the hall and see Remy. He'll talk to you about that." He has wanted nothing to do with this, man. Nothing to do with it. And I don't blame him. Like it wasn't a thing when he got into this. And there's been a lot of coaches who are more accomplished than Sam Pitman, no disrespect, who've gotten out of the business because they didn't want to deal with it. So I don't fault him for that necessarily. But here's what I will say: his entire thing has been, I don't want to deal with the money aspect of it. He wants to coach ball, right? Go coach it then. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, let's see the product on the field improve and tighten some things up. If you've got that off of your plate, you can focus your attention elsewhere. Maybe it works out. I hope it works out, but it's going to be interesting to see that entire dynamic kind of evolve with Remy, because it's not just football. It's all the other sports and everything. And I wonder at what level, or, what his exact responsibilities are going to be with each individual sport. Mainly, I'm talking about what's that going to look like with men's basketball and baseball, comparatively speaking to what he's got going on for football. He might be doing more for them than anybody else, honestly.
Yeah, it is interesting that the guy they hired from the Celtics, who we knew had such a background in basketball, played basketball, and like we kind of thought, and Cal clearly had a big hand in getting him the job. Like we kind of think, okay, yeah, seems like football is going to be where his main priority is, and seems like that's where the most help is needed. I mean, there's of the three coaches, there's one that is getting his ass kicked in the NIL department, and it's Sam Pitman. And I definitely don't fault Sam for feeling the way he does. Like you said, Nick Saban literally stopped coaching because of it. Like there's no, we all kind of have our own resistance to it. I still don't love the public resistance that he's been doing. Like the kind of coming right out and saying, hey, I really don't like dealing with all this. Again, I understand why. I get it. But it is part of it. I feel like you have to embrace it at some point. I think he probably thinks Remy is going to take a lot off his plate, and I'm sure he is. I also love that he's like, he seems, we're talking about Arkansas, who is the last team in the SEC to get a GM, and he's like trying to explain the premise of why a GM's good, and we're like, dude, we know a GM is good. We've been telling you to hire one for a year now. Like that's what we want. You know what I mean? Like we wanted you to have a guy to help you with this whole thing. We thought it was crazy you started the offseason without one. But it does seem like he's, hopefully that relationship goes well. But to your point, Curtis, you can pass the roster construction off to someone else or whatever, or the NIL payment section. But you got to go out there and coach ball. You got to coach the guys. And so it is interesting, but it reminds me a little bit of the arbitration in baseball, where I remember thinking that was when I first learned about arbitration growing up, I was like, that is crazy that you can have a player who you basically have to convince them every offseason that they are worse than they are. That's kind of where you're at now with college sports, where you got to tell these kids hey, we like you and we want you to play for us, but you're not that valuable. And now we're going to literally argue about whether you're worth whatever you think you're worth. That's kind of where we're at with football. And so it sounds like Remy is just going to be the arbitration guy.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And I'll also throw in too, and I'm not trying to just make this as hating on Pitman, because I feel like there's a lot of coaches that are this way. This is a personal preference for me. I want a coach that's a control freak. I want a coach that obsesses over being in control of every single little thing in their program. Now, I know with NIL, a lot of that, like Nick Saban was a control freak, but that started becoming out of his control. And I get it. But to your point, Ellis, I want coaches that are out there okay, do I want to, deal with this? Does it suck? Of course it does. But I still want to know how much they're making. I still want to know what they're asking. I still want to know what their mentality is. I still want to know what y'all are talking about. I want to know everything about what that discussion is. That way I don't get blindsided by something. The way I don't get blindsided by some sort of report that's out there or anything like that. I want to know everything. And that's kind of the vibe, not only just in this, but in maybe some other things too with Pitman, where it's endearing and it can be good. Like, for instance, hey, I want my offense coordinator just to do it. Just go coach offense. I'll be over here, which can really enable and empower a coach. But at the same time, I feel like that's why so often Pitman in these press conferences either gets hit with stuff that he's not sure about or says stuff that's actually not fully true. It's just because he's letting other people just do things and he's not a control freak. He's just not in full control of it all. And it seems like that's the case there with the NIL. You can say one thing, whatever, but man, I would just really, if I was a head coach and if I was having my head coach, I'd want my head coach involved in every detail possible dealing with my football team. And that includes the, you want to call it negotiations or whatever between him and my GM. 100%.
If you, I don't know, I guess you can be a jack of all trades or a master of none. And if you're openly saying that you don't want to be a jack of all trades, then you need to be a master of one. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to be coaching the football team there. But I'm kind of with you, John. I mean, who is the best to have ever done it? It's Jackie Moon. It's Jackie Moon. Okay. player, owner, coach. So yeah, I mean, you got to dabble in a little bit of everything.
I can't believe it. I thought it was a serious thing for a second.
No, that was good stuff. And I do think you make a great point, John, about the control freak thing. Like, these coaches that have success are the ones who are psycho and have their hand in everything. And to the jack of all trades, master of none thing, if you're going to be a master of something, we were led to believe it's offensive line. Of all the years, I mean, obviously Arkansas has had bad offensive lines the last couple of years. They literally cannot afford to not have a really good offensive line this year.
Yeah.
I mean, because the rest of the team sucks. So it's like, if you don't have a good offensive line, then you're really screwed from that standpoint. But also, you've delegated every other responsibility. So if you're not handling the roster, you're not the defensive coordinator, you're not the play caller, what are you doing? You know, like, it is worth noting. And a lot of head coaches take that CEO type mentality, but fans have been complaining for years that, hey, this guy's an offensive line coach. Why doesn't he have a good offensive line? And they're right.
Yeah. I mean, and they haven't, and I don't know if that's going to change this year. We'll see. But either way, I apologize, everybody. I'm sorry for talking football. Yeah. Please forgive me. Well, we're done.
The chat
I promise.
did not like that, bro.
Yeah, well, we're done with it. I promise you. It's all good. So Curtis, transfer portal stuff right now. What's your update? We need something right now. What's the latest? Give us some.
Arkansas ain't getting nobody.
There we go. There's your update.
Nobody.
Not a soul. Literally, they're just gonna hang out and do nothing. It's fine.
There is no team.
No, there's no team. A few of your chats though. Shout out to Hazelwood. He said for Super Chase, says NCAA can grant fifth eligibility waivers for unique circumstances, with the rules being so vague and athletes finding eligibility in their coat pockets. Maybe some backdoor tomfoolery going on with Jonas possibility.
Ain't happening.
I mean, I wouldn't think, but I mean, I don't know.
No disrespect. I'm out of the Jonas Adu business. After what occurred, after the attack that was launched on me at the Sweet 16, I'm no longer in business with Jonas Adu.
Yep. I don't even know if you've discussed that in depth, but yes, I know what you're talking about. But yes.
And I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And I love Jonas. I really do appreciate Jonas, the player. I thank him for his time as a Razorback, but no.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't know what case he has. You know what I mean?
He loves the hog. That's his case. He just loves the hog.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so.
Like, literally, that's probably it.
Like, he had an injury, but he wound up playing in 30 games or something. You know what I mean? So, like, he wouldn't be able to get a hardship, and I don't know under what grounds he would be able to get that exception. I know what Hazelwood's talking about, and a lot of guys are trying to use that, but like, I just don't know what he would apply based on is my only thing there.
No, I have no idea either. Let's see. Chris also says, appreciate the super chat, says, it seemed like they stacked the offense in football for next season. Any chance we're good with the offense next season?
Did they stack the offense? What additions did they make on the offense? They refused to get a running back. They refused to get a receiver.
I think that it's maybe just, if you're looking at the portal, it seemed like they went more in on offense than they did defense. I assume that's what maybe he's referring to, but
yeah,
still.
Well, it's funny that another thing that apparently Sam was asked about the other day. He said in the last press conference we heard of Sam Pitman, he was like, "We're loaded at receiver. We don't need any more receivers. We're loaded on the offensive side of the ball. We're not going to bring in any more offensive players." And then a week later, after they did 3 spring practices, they offered 2 receivers. And so then I think someone asked him about it, and he got a little flustered. Yeah, I don't know. That's I don't know if they necessarily landed anybody that moves the needle on offense. I mean, they literally got rid of all their tight ends and brought in worse guys at every spot. Their receivers were actually not that bad last year, and they replaced them with guys who, I don't think they like very much. We'll just say that.
Yeah, that was something that I did see. I should have pulled that clip. I think it was Hutch that asked him about the wide receivers, going after new wide receivers and everything. And he's kind of like, where'd you get that from? Like, oh, it's being reported. Pitman was almost like, oh, we need to find out who's leaking that information. It's kind of a weird exchange. But yeah. All right, so let's see. Also, Even 1383 says football season feels like it's looming omniscient. How do you say that? Omniscient?
Ominously.
Ominously. Thank you. I can talk.
folks will be excited when it comes around. Like
They will.
The excitement of portal season right now, and then baseball and the postseason and everything. And when that ends and we get closer to SEC Media Day and everything, people will start getting excited again. You don't want to believe it now. Everybody's gonna be like, "The hell I will." Yes, you will.
Yep.
Yes, you will. Before this football season starts, you'll be ready to roll, and you'll be thinking Arkansas is going to win 8 games, and you'll be doing it.
I'm sure there definitely are going to be like a decent portion of the fan base that are going to like kind of talk themselves in and all that. But I do feel like most years, like I do get like a warm, fuzzy feeling in my stomach thinking about football. But I like the way that he worded this. Like it does kind of feel like it's like looming, and like I don't think any of us feel that great about it. And you're right, Curtis. People will definitely. We'll be having people will be getting so mad at us during fall camp.
Oh, we'll be the most hated people in the
win 8 games. It's not even gonna be funny.
Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna happen. But I'm gonna get excited about it, and I think the team's gonna be bad. This is gonna be the first year I think I predict that Arkansas has a losing season, and that's saying something.
You are so negative, John.
Fine.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Fine.
No faith in the pig.
Yeah,
it's
fine,
fun, man.
Trust me. I'll bring it on.
Our arc throughout the course of the athletic year is just going to be crazy. It feels like
it's going to be a lot of things, a lot of things happening, a lot of feelings, and a lot of all the craziness. So, but
I'm starting to buy into this football team, though.
Shut up, Curtis. No, you're not.
I hate you.
No, you're not.
We won't talk about it today, but one day we'll talk football, and I'll let you guys know why.
Okay.
My tease.
I will say, can I say one thing positive about the football team?
Yes.
If they get the right side of the offensive line somewhat figured out, like if Shaq McCroy really is just an unbelievable player that wasn't in the 2 deep at Oregon, if he magically is the best right tackle ever, and whether it's Kobe Branham, Marion Harris, Blackstock, I really don't care. If they can get that situation figured out, I think the offensive line maybe could be better.
I think
maybe
it
could be better.
Could be. Yeah.
And if the offensive line is above average, you can kind of make it work. But and I do like Taylor Green. Like I've been a Taylor Green defender. I feel like first round pick. I feel like is what I dubbed him as.
You did. You did.
And I definitely defended him over Malachi Singleton, who people acted like was freaking Dan Marino back there. But I really wish they would have gotten skill players that had played football at the Division I level before.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I was going to, go ahead.
I've got to stop talking about it now. You guys are on your own. I can't run that risk. So
it's fine. I'll take on the risk. I don't care. The one thing that excites me, I guess, or at least one thing that can be excited about is strictly just Taylor Green and having another year under Bobby Petrino, because I am a huge Bobby Petrino fan, as we all know. And I like to see that. And I feel like if he's really going to take that step that everyone brings up from year 1 to year 2 under Petrino, if it truly happens, then Arkansas will be a good team. Like, how good is that a 6-6 team? I don't know, but they'll at least be a team that can make some noise. But if it's that tough with the surrounding cast around him, to where there's that big of a drop off that even as good as he may be, there's still problems, then it's really hard to feel good about it.
I mean, the case for Arkansas being good starts and ends with Taylor Green. Like, he's going to have to just become really, and look, I'm not even really saying like he can't do that. But I think it's so funny how many fans that are like very optimistic that actually are the same fans that told us Taylor Green sucked last year. And so it's like, if Taylor Green sucks, then you are going to suck at football. But no, I think like, I do like Taylor. I do like the year 2 with Bobby. I think he will be better. But I do also think that the weapons he's dealing with are substantially worse.
Mm-hmm. And, it's pretty easy, though, because you just simply, your road SEC games next year, 2 of them are against playoff teams. And the other non-conference game is against the playoff team. And then you have a few other games that were borderline playoff teams against. So,
but when they beat Notre Dame, though, woo!
If they beat Notre Dame, I don't know what no, stop. I don't even want to think about this. I
can't
deal with it. I can't deal with this.
Yeah. Catch them in a transition year. I like that.
The SEC, buddy.
Welcome to the SEC. And then they probably drop the game against Texas A&M again later in Fayetteville.
Are we going to that game?
Which game?
Oh, wait, no. Is it in Fayetteville this year, the Notre Dame, or is it on the road? Am I tripping?
No, it's in Fayetteville.
Okay. So I guess we are going to the game. Yeah, we're going to be chanting SEC.
Well, we got a better chance of going to anyway. We'll be chanting SEC.
Yeah, we'll be chanting SEC.
100%.
From the Bush Hoggers tailgate.
Yeah. That might be the only good one to go to, because if it falls off quick, The attendance is going to drop. But now I was thinking like road trip wise. I mean, you got the game in Memphis. You got the Arkansas game in Little Rock against Arkansas State.
I mean, that game makes me so nervous. Maybe I'm just being a pansy about it, but I just don't like it. I do not.
I've never liked
at all,
it,
man.
And I hated that they did it. I get why they did it, but I still
You get
hate
nothing
it.
out of dominance, which
Exactly.
is what you should have. Like anything
Exactly.
other than that, it's just going to be. You just don't need to hear it.
Nothing
gets on my nerves more than low bro energy, and it's going to be a lot of that.
Well, when that was like one thing again, Frank Broyles did a lot of good things, and one thing I feel like it was good was him like we're never going to play Arkansas State or any in-state teams because he's like I don't even want competition. Why would we? Doesn't help us. We're the number one game in town. But I love the people that are like it keeps the money in state. Who cares? Like what does that mean? Like whose money? Arkansas is going to make the same amount no matter what. So. Anyways, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that BS once it comes. So because it'll be here before we know it. Let's see a few other chats we'll get to, but I did want to bring this up as part of the Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, the number one Razorback apparel shop. We're going to be there 2 weeks from today, so be sure to hang out with us when that time comes. But also go over there and check them out for yourselves and get you some great gear, especially with the rain and everything. They have rain gear that are Razorback related, so you can get that as well as everything for the men, women, kids. High apparel, high level apparel, and plenty of it in stock. So you can shop them online at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall and use that promo code HOGS20 for 20% off your purchase. Do you still go to Hog games if it's pouring rain? Because we know that baseball, haven't heard anything new on it, but they still are planning to play as of right now at 7 p.m. tonight. Simply, do you go to games? We're not talking about lightning delays and stuff. We're just talking about if it's raining and the game can be played, you go. As of right now, 57% of you say no, you don't go to rainy games. And 44% of you, or whatever the percentage is, 43% say yes, they still go to games. So
I don't go to monsoon games for baseball against Missouri. I'll tell you that.
No.
It all factors in there. A football game, 1000% I go in the rain, no matter
it's
what.
Fun.
It's a game made to be played in the rain. There's just something about it. So I'm all in for that. Baseball, I've gone to a whole bunch of Cardinals games and sat through rain delays and everything and watched them play. I would do it for Arkansas baseball if it was a game worth watching. No disrespect to Missouri, but if Tennessee was in town, hell, it wouldn't even have to be them, but just somebody pretty decent. I'd do it for sure.
Well, it's kind of tough because it's like most of the time, if it's raining, the game is either postponed, delayed,
Exactly,
usually it's something. But I say yes, only because like that was something my dad really instilled in me growing up. Like, one, we come early, we stay late. Like there was never growing up. Weirdly enough, now when we do post game show and we do whatever, I leave Razorback games in the middle all the time for work purposes. But like my dad was very adamant. Like we would sit through. I remember the first Little Rock game I ever went to. I think Arkansas lost 42-14 LSU or something like that. And like he was like, we're not budging. Like we're staying, rain or shine. I also, funny story. So in 2008, Arkansas beats LSU in the Miracle on Markham 2, Casey Dick, London Crawford. It rained for a good portion of that game, and it was 30-14 LSU at one point. And my sister, I have 3 sisters. This was at the time my third favorite sister. This is like her first Hog game. She was complaining the whole time. Oh, it's raining and we're here. It's cold. We got to go, blah, blah, blah. So when they came back and won, it was like a big FU to her. That moment sticks in my brain where I'm like, I don't want to ever miss out on that, an opportunity to rub it in my sister's face. So yeah, I'm going to stick around for the rain, but and I'm going to be there at Baum-Walker Stadium tonight when they play. I'm also going to talk Curtis into coming and sitting by me for that game. We'll see. But yeah, I go to games in the rain. Yeah. We're hogs, man. We like the mud. If you're scared of the mud, you are not of swine culture.
Yeah, exactly right. And fun fact that you may actually see, if it game ends up playing, you may actually see Curtis and Andrew on your high quality broadcast too. Just saying.
I got a text during the show that Hillary's out tonight. She's not going to the game. She's like, no matter what, I'm not going.
Well, I can't let you fly solo.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll find somebody.
Yeah. Listen, and I would be there if it wasn't for an engagement party then this monsoon that I have to go to.
Congratulations.
So. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's been great. I don't start rumors. I did not get engaged. So it's not for me. Not for me. But yeah, That's the thing is, I feel like rain is fun, but I'm trying to remember a Razorback game in the rain that was actually fun for me. Maybe that 3 a.m. game, for baseball that they had because it was like rain delays.
That's wild.
That was pretty fun. But like football wise, I feel like all the rainy games ended badly, except for maybe the 2000 Alabama game at home. I think that one went well, but like Texas A&M in 2013 didn't go well. 2012 Bama didn't go well.
Sure didn't.
Trying to think of any other games in the rain. Tennessee of 2001 didn't go well. There was delays in that one. Sure, there's more, but either way,
I'm kind of blanking on like rain games. Obviously, by the way, y'all know one of our favorite
Ole Miss this past year did not go well.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I remember me and Curtis were driving back from, I guess it would have been Fort Worth. And we were like looking at the clouds and we were like, are they going to play this game?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Y'all remember one of our favorite raining Razorback moments, right? Coach Cal. Presser. It was raining.
Oh my goodness, man. Yeah.
For the Cal presser. Like it was like raining about like it is right now outside for the Cal presser.
That man Branson looked like Eeyore getting rained on out there. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Tough scenes, man.
Should have known that when somebody's not bringing umbrellas or a rain jacket. It's probably a good indication of things to come. That was, I forgot about that, but it was like flood worthy type stuff going on there. But it's raining, and odds are that if you go to the Razorback baseball game at some point, whenever it's played this weekend, it will be a little bit moist outside. So just plan accordingly, and get you some gear over at Alumni Hall and check it out there too. Okay, so we just got about 10 or so minutes, and I'm sure I'm going to regret this, but I like to do it at the end of Friday shows. Just kind of go strictly of any question that you ask in the chat that we want to answer, we'll answer and discuss. Somewhat rapid fire. Again, I'm sure it'll go really well and there won't be any problems. But if you want to do that, fire away and we'll do our best to answer that. But I will say, David says BMFP shirts are still available, right? The few that we have in inventory, yes, on sale too. So if you'd like to get one of those in inventory, they are available. So as well as all of our other merch, which is available at insidearkansas.myshopify.com. Heartbroken Hog says Trey Biddy said the Oregon transfer is playing right tackle and he's the biggest human he's ever seen in person.
Love Trey. I'm going to make a compilation of all the biggest human beings he's ever seen, though. Maybe McCrory's it.
Yeah, and Trey is the man. Like I seriously like he, obviously
we used to mess with him about this when we were working there. So
right, he's an opinion. We hold in very high regard. His soft spot as a journalist, as an analyst, is big men.
Yeah,
like when he sees a large guy, it doesn't matter what that guy does. He loves him. Like he loves Ian Giffard. He loves Dalton Wagner. He loves Jaquan McCroy. It's interesting. It's interesting, but because it's funny because we were hearing that from Trey where he's like, oh yeah, this Jaquan McCroy guy is like awesome, and then we talked to the one guy in the airport who was like, man, that McCroy guy, he has like his feet are bad. Like I don't know if he's gonna be able to help him at all. And so, but the one thing we can confirm, Shaq McCroy is very large. We do know that.
Yes, he is a large human being. I will say when I would back in the day when I was always on Hog Sports, I would read because I don't know why I would. It didn't matter, but just the weight changes from like the previous year that y'all would post over there and stuff. Just like this amount of poundage. It's like, oh man, yeah. Well, 8 pounds. He's ready now. Yeah, he's ready for the SEC, making that jump.
By the way, Braylon Russell going down. He's getting down in weight.
Good. We'll see that if it's the same in the fall.
Has he put another video out yet?
I don't know. I was just about to say, I was like, Braylon Russell's kind of my guy now. I think he might be my favorite Razorback.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah, a lot of changes there.
Everybody needs one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Also, Dalton says, excellent choice in the manufacturer of the Inside Arkansas shirts. Fits my fat gut fantastic. Well, that's what we're here for.
Those things are super comfy. Yeah.
They are.
John didn't go cheap. So
no, nothing but the best for all of you who love us and support us. Because I don't know, that was honestly my idea, and we'll never do any like crapperware, but I would just be so pissed off if I spent like $20 on a shirt to help support somebody and I get it and it's literally just like you wash it once and it explodes like that. It just would piss me off. So I don't want that. I want it to be nice, good stuff for the nice quality stuff for the highest quality platform of covering Razorback sports inside Arkansas. None but
there we go.
Let's see. Aiden says, what's more likely, Taylon Green leads the SEC in passing or Braylon Russell or Braylon Green? I think you mean Braylon Russell leads the SEC in rushing. Taylon Green leading in passing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Taylon leading in passing simply and I hate to say this, Arkansas will be in a situation in the games that they play where they need to throw the ball. Let's just say that. I also think, Braylon Russell isn't going to have to split carries with anybody because they didn't bring in any other running backs that have played, football before. Although they do have another very large guy in Mike Washington. But I don't know. Probably Taylon leading in passing. I mean, he dude, passing yardage. What was he, like 4th in the SEC last year? He threw for a lot of yards.
Yeah. I mean, that's why that's why I could see it. And I think all the quarterbacks that he was with or that were ahead of him are all gone, except for, I guess, LSU's quarterback. Name escapes me.
Nussmeier.
Yeah. So let's see. David says, how big is Trey?
Bitty?
I assume so.
It's normal sized human.
Yeah.
Like 6 foot,
6 foot,
220.
Yeah. I'd say that.
Good running back size, could probably, he's shifty in the middle.
Looks good.
He played linebacker in high school.
Yeah. Samuel, I don't know what Samuel's saying. He's like, who's better, Curtis and Andrew, Neighbors, or Biddy?
Curtis and Andrew. I mean, come on.
Hey,
I don't know what
wait a minute.
competition we're talking about here. But
doesn't matter.
I think he's asking, wait a minute. I think he's asking me and Curtis, who is better between Neighbors or Biddy?
I was like, this is a terrible question. What do you mean?
I was like, it's obviously
or Biddy. I get it.
See, I thought he was asking the same thing too. Of like, who's the better between the combo? And I'm like, geez, well, I think that's an easy answer. Yeah.
I would answer by saying that John and Trey are extremely different human beings.
This is true.
I like John better though.
Thank you.
Just for what it's worth.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Trey didn't text me back the other day, actually, so I feel confident in my answer that it's John.
You're out on Trey?
I'm not out on Trey, but I would like for him to text me back.
Good on him.
Sounds solid.
Thanks. Spencer just says, I don't know Spencer's deal. I don't think he likes me too much, but he said past Neighbors once and couldn't believe it. He looked like he just got dolled up for a news anchor job. Thank you.
Hey, he was probably getting ready to get interviewed by those Vice folks. So.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Like, I don't know what dolled up. I don't doll myself up. I don't but I know it doesn't matter what I say. No one's going to believe me, but yeah, it's just funny how I have that going on. Let's see. Dre, our guy Dre says, are you guys sneakerheads? I am not. I'm just gonna be honest. I am the most anti-shoe person of as far as I got to love these shoes. Do not care. I wear the same shoes all the time. And that's it. Plain and simple.
Yeah. We got 4 pairs. Nothing crazy.
Yeah. I'm not a sneaker head. I don't own a bunch of sneakers, but I do think sneakers are cool.
I do appreciate them. Yeah.
When I used to play 2K a lot, I used to spend a lot of time just decking out the shoes and getting new stuff and love that. I do like sneakers. I just don't buy them.
I pay way more attention to the sneakers that the fellas are wearing, the Razorbacks, whoever, than I do my own, is what I will say. And we've talked about this before. I am not a fan of the mismatch trend.
I don't like
different
it
shoe on the left and right. I haven't been able to get there just yet.
What about kickers? You like it when they do it?
I at least understand it.
Yeah, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Well, also, what's funny is, it's I always think of the quote from Shawshank Redemption when he was able to, spoiler alert, when he was about to escape and he was wearing the shoes of the warden, right? The narrator of Morgan Freeman says, yeah, but how often do you really look at a guy's shoes? I mean, how did you tell? That's how I am. I don't ever look at shoes. You couldn't tell me. He's like, hey, what do you think of my new shoes? Like, oh yeah, how about that? That's cool.
They're good.
Yeah, fine.
What about this? You see this from Dre?
If I gifted y'all sneakers, would you wear them? If Arkansas football wins more than 5 games, y'all are getting sneakers. I mean, yeah, I'll wear them for sure.
Right? I'll wear anything that someone gives me.
Yeah. Let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy. If someone gave you a pirate shirt, the fluffy shirt, would you be wearing that around? I don't know. But
I might.
Yeah.
I could get in a costume for certain things. Shoes, though, for sure.
Yeah.
There are very few shoes that someone could give me that I wouldn't wear at least once.
Yeah. I got those Bud Light Razorback shoes that apparently everyone brings up and is like, you need to get rid of those shoes, man. You've been wearing them too much. That's about as crazy as my shoe game gets right there. Let's see. Sammy wants to know, Curtis, does Michelle still have Pot at the Palace hoodie on?
I don't know. We had a doctor's appointment this morning and she didn't wear it. And this is what's crazy to me is that she wears it around the house constantly. that's great. But she gets out in public where the people could see and be like, oh, wow, nice hoodie. Where'd you get that? And she changes.
Mm.
I
It's
don't know. Is she ashamed of me outside of our household? I don't know. I have to talk to her about it.
She said she put it in the wash since you got called out yesterday.
Oh, as soon as we got off the show yesterday, I walked back in. She was like, really? You told the world that I stink?
Yeah.
Just the hoodie, you know?
Yeah, yeah, not you, just the thing you're wearing stinks. Yeah.
The world.
Yeah. The entire world, all 7 billion of them out there too. Let's see. Obviously, Chris just says, I saw a tweet about Jaquindon Jackson coming back. Got to be fake. It is.
Bro is literally like going to get drafted like next week.
Yeah, that is 100% fake.
That is like this month, right?
It's like, I think it's like towards the end, but yeah, it's the month of April for sure.
Yeah. Clint, a few more here. Clint says, in 5 years, will we be excited about Arkansas football? Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Seriously, I'm going to answer this question seriously. Most years we will be. Like, even like last year when I don't know if we had high expectations, like we were excited about football. This is really maybe the first year of my lifetime that like I won't enter it buzzing, frankly.
Yeah, and it's not has nothing to do with anything other than just, the current state. It's not like, oh, it's just we don't care about football because basketball's so much better or anything like that. No, it's just it's the way it is, and next year it'll be different.
Yeah, we'll be excited. It's not that hard for us to get excited. If I'm being like dead serious, like it's really not that hard. And so in the next 5 years, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited now. I love football. I love SEC football. I love watching Razorbacks. Hell, I watched every snap in the Chad Morris era. It's like my excitement for football is always going to be there. My optimism or my expectations for how it's going to go, it's a completely different story. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Let's see. Toothless Diva wants to know Cane's, Zaxby's, or Slim's because food.
So I'm a boot boy, and Cane's, that's our stuff. I will say this about Cane's: the closer you are to Baton Rouge, the better Cane's is.
You've said this, and I have nothing to back it up on, but I believe you.
I swear.
Sounds right.
Because like I remember, like obviously Baton Rouge is, like that's where LSU is. The one that's on, like it's not in like on LSU's campus, but it's like right by LSU's campus. That Cane's is like the best Cane's. The one in Alexandria where I grew up 2 hours away, very good. And then when I went to Ruston for school, I was like, this Cane's kind of is like worse than the one back home. And then I'd be like, and that one's worse. And then the ones in Arkansas aren't as good either. And I'm like, it doesn't really get like that much worse, but it's like the closer you get down there, it really does get better. But Cane's is just good stuff, man. That toast, the best toast of all time.
I love the toast. No, I really do. Cane's will be my answer too. I've heard a lot of people do the thing about just like Cane's chicken, like it has no flavor or whatever. I don't know if I'm buying that. And I think theirs is a little bit more crispy, which I like personally. But here's the thing that I'll say to all the people who are like, oh, the chicken's different. I'm a big sauce guy. And like, I like the cane sauce. I like the slim sauce, but I'm a heavy dipper, man. So maybe I'm just not tasting the bird. I don't know. But what I will say is anytime I've gotten slim chicken, I like it, but it's flat. It's flaccid, man. It's shriveled chicken. It just seems smaller. Like there's not much to it. It tastes good and everything, but I prefer the big breaded, I'm a fried chicken type of guy. So that's why I like Cane's a little bit better.
I do. I would put Slims like right behind. Like I really do like Slims a lot.
Me too. Yeah. Their sandwiches are great. Their chicken Sammies.
Mac and cheese too.
Oh, the mac and cheese bowls. Yeah.
I used to get those bowls. Yeah, those bowls all the time.
Yeah. Sorry. You guys can love LSU. I'm going to go with the local company of Arkansas and Slims as being the number one because I love Arkansas more than y'all. Apparently,
a little more meat on that bone. I might be with you. But can we all agree that Zaxby stinks?
Yeah, no, Zaxby's and like
it's hard chicken.
Hate it. It's just like there's never a scenario where I'm like, you know what? Today's a Zaxby's day. I'm gonna pass by all these other chicken spots. No Chick-fil-A, no Cane's, no Slims. Hell, there's like I'd go like McDonald's before I went Zaxby's.
Yeah, it's just also too expensive for me. My tasting, just to be honest, for what you get. Geez. All right, a couple more here. I just got overtaken by chicken talk in the chat. Yeah, I do too. Let's see. David just wants to know how many touchdowns would Adu Thero score if he was a tight end in the Bobby P offense?
6.
None.
Well,
Dude,
yeah. Ask
None.
his dad.
Or 2 in a game. Get
I
out
was
of
going
here.
to say he'd wind up with more than Posky for sure.
Yeah. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I think Adu Thero would have a 3 touchdown game at tight end.
Yeah. Now he would get banged up. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and he would score more touchdowns than I guess Omega Blake, because that's just what happens. Wide receivers
Yeah.
don't get touchdowns. Your best wide
we
receiver
keep
doesn't get
talking about
touchdowns.
who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. None of those guys want to be. That's why nobody's emerged, because you ain't getting it in the end zone.
Nope.
You know
You're just
it's
gonna get a
you know
lot of
it's rough
yards.
whenever you're like, hey, wide receivers, spring practice, and people are like, hey, Raylan Sharp. You're like, oh, that's not the name I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah. Let's see, and we'll get to this final one here. Quicks just said, Curtis, thoughts on Malik Quinn or Malik Ewan, right?
Yeah, Ewan.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hog, dog.
Florida
There it is.
State. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. He, you know,
He's got a bag.
good.
Listen, if you guys liked, and yeah, I saw the thing too there from Trilly. But yeah, I mean, he's one of the top available bigs, and it makes sense. Like, Arkansas needs to be involved and engaged, a team to watch, whatever you want to call it. Pardon me if I'm a little bit hesitant right now after hearing the same thing on Morez Johnson and Flory Badunga and some of these other guys. Like, you know, let's go ahead and get this one across the finish line. But do I think Malik Ewan could be a starting SEC center and an asset for Arkansas? Heck yes, I do. I love his game. Go watch his film. If you appreciated Jalen Graham and the spin cycle, you will appreciate Malik Ewan. And he's a better rebounder, and just has I think a better motor than JG did. And he's a little bit taller and a little bit bigger. He's a fun player. I would be all for that. If they were able to get him and add another piece there in the front court, they'd be cooking. So hopefully they get it done.
I want to ask you a quick question, Curtis. Ewan, probably more of an offensive center than defensive,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
if you're getting Ewan,
He
that means
averages like, I'm sorry, I was going to say, you're right. He averages like less than a block per game or whatever. Good on the glass. Like he will both ends. Like, he'll get you offensive and defensive boards. But yeah, they would definitely want to still go out and get that enforcer type, shot blocking type of dude for sure.
Yeah,
You're right.
that's what I was gonna say. Is like you would there would need to be like the subsequent move. Which, by the way, I saw somebody that was like really butthurt over me wanting Damian Collins, and he was like, "We need a scorer down low. We need someone that can score." Damian Collins is the kind of guy you bring off the bench for Ewan. You know what I mean? Like a guy like, okay, it's kind of an offense defensive move there. And so yeah, I think they honestly, you can't be too picky with the front court. But Ewan is probably one of the. I mean, got to be the most talented scoring big man realistically outside of like Yaxel. I don't know if he counts.
Well, fellas, any final thoughts before we get out of here for the weekend?
Just glad I got something to talk about on the pot at the Palace now.
Yeah. Dude, all of a sudden, now Arkansas's loaded in the front court.
This is great. Yeah, no, this is a huge development. No, I got nothing else to say. I'm saving it. I'm saving it for the morning.
Hell yeah. Well, my final thoughts are I'll see you guys at Bomb. The skies are opening up, man. It's about to be sunshine and rainbows around here.
All right.
The Hogs are opening up a can of whip ass on Missouri tonight. Curtis, you better cover your eyes and tell your pops to cover his eyes too.
Don't do that to the Tigers. Come on now.
Please, not my Tigers. Not my Tigers.
It's hopefully going to be a great weekend. Everybody stay safe out there, though. I know the weather's still a little dicey across the state of Arkansas, so be sure to stay safe.
I do have one thing to say.
Okay.
I could have used a better word to describe the chicken than flaccid. I see a lot of people in the chat that are like, wait a second. I'm going to get some slim chickens. I'll have it on the pot at the Palace, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be a visual episode. Anyway, carry on.
There you have it. Now it's a can't miss. Can't miss that pot at the Palace episode with a transfer portal talk and not flaccid chicken with or some other adjective. But either way, we do appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in Inside Arkansas. Be sure to subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas on our YouTube page. You can also follow us on social media at Inside Arkansas. You can also check out all of our audio podcasts wherever they're found, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pot at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast. And you can check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on all things Razorbacks. And we'll keep it going from there. So, for Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Next Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you then.